Let's take a look.
Okay, so follow-up video to the forward Fukyo. This one will be covering the back Fukyo. I'll be covering several different options, but for starters, I'll cover short back Fukyo into 2S. This is a very popular option for Nagoriyuki players. You can deal with this in a very similar way to how you deal with the forward Fukyo. Throws obviously won't work because he's moving backwards, but a lot of the other buttons do work. You don't really get as much reward for hitting the back Fukyo as you do the forward Fukyo, but you still get decent reward in some situations. 5k doesn't work though, so you don't get the hard knockdown with the 2D on hit, and you can't burst bait with it. 2k does work, but it's a bit finicky from time to time. It's difficult to say how this is going to work online. It's on a bad connection, it's not going to be very good, but it's not a terrible option to use because you do get a hard knockdown into item toss. Depending on the item you pull, can lead to a favourable situation or a bad situation. It's just the way item toss is. Because he's doing back Fukyo, you won't get close S, you will get far S. Far S is a lot more difficult to use than close S. The window opportunity to react to the back Fukyo isn't as large, so far S isn't as good as the close S, but it is an option, and it's a strong option at that if you can react fast enough. 5H just flat out doesn't work on reaction. But on a read it does. It's a big gamble though if you choose to use this option, because you leave yourself open to being counter hit. 6p always works. He can't get outside of the 6p range of a short Fukyo unless he does it from further away than what I'm showing in the video. Long back Fukyo into far S is his strongest, or not his strongest option, but it's probably the hardest option to deal with since it beats most of your mashing options. 2p does work if you're fast enough, but I don't think it could be done on a read since it can clip back Fukyo. 6p doesn't work on reaction if you do it too quickly, but if you delay the 6p you can beat the far S. But there are counter options to this that I will show later. 5k doesn't work, so 5k doesn't work against any of the back Fukyo options. Don't use it, ever. 2k does, for some reason, go under the far S, so you can whiff punish with it. Not whiff punish, but you can get away with it. Far S also beats back Fukyo if you do it fast enough, but you have to be very fast. You have to be looking for the back Fukyo in order to get this. It's really difficult to do. 5H, even though it's disjointed, doesn't work. It trades. Throws obviously aren't going to work since he's moving away. I do have some fancy K-Crow PRC stuff I'll show later, but you won't be doing that on reaction. You'll be doing that to punish on a read. Back crawl is very good because you can whiff punish the far S, and if he chooses to do 2S you will block it. So it's just a decent option to hedge your bets against his options. Don't do the far S before the 2H, because if he goes as far back as he possibly can, the 2H will whiff. Thankfully though, the 2H knocks him out of range of Beyblade, so you can get some weird setups. There's enough time after the item toss to cover yourself if he chooses to do a follow-up special. High J2K works, but it's not really rewarding enough. I'll show more on that in a bit. Low J2K trades, so it's really bad. Don't do it. Right. Your reward of high J2K isn't very good, and because of that, Nagoriyuki should always try to pick an option as to what you're going to do. If he guesses right, you die. So don't do high J2K in that situation, it's death. Long back Fukyo into 2S beats 6p, so that's the counter to the 6p that beats far S. It hits 2k, so you can't... 2k whiffed on far S, but it doesn't whiff on 2S. It beats far S, so as you see, countering the long back Fukyo is very difficult. 6p loses to 5H, even though it's upper body invincible. Even if you delay it, it will clash, and that clash heavily favours Nagoriyuki than it does you, so don't do it. 5H also hits 2k, so you get deleted if you do that option. 5H, even though it's disjointed, loses to Nagoriyuki's because his is way more disjointed. The only option that beats it is far S. So as you can see, the only option that beats all of the back Fukyo options is far S. So it is by far away your strongest option to be back Fukyo. And if he does forward Fukyo, you will get close S instead. So it's a really good way to hedge your bets. But like I said, the back Fukyo far S punish is difficult to do. It beats Clone and it beats Beyblade, as I'm showing right now. So if you have the reactions to do this, and you have a good solid stable internet connection, so the matches are good, you should always go for the far S, since it's the only option that beats all of the Fukyos. This is just some setup stuff you can do with it, that I was messing around with. In the previous video I showed a lot of mixed loop thrust Oki setups. Most of them work in this situation that I'm showing right now. You can still get the thrust meaty that catches like the blue RC thrust setup, like mixed loop blue RC setup that leads into a thrust meaty that catches pre-jump and stuff like that. All of that stuff still works. This will be done on a read, of course, but if you hit it, it leads to really good reward. It will force Nagoriyuki to start after playing more defensively and not just, you know, mashing Beyblade. Because a lot of Nagoriyuki players like to mash Beyblade because it's disjointed, but Faust's 5H beats it if you can get it out first. Right, this is something else I wanted to cover. The long back Fukyo into 2S, you can forest counter hit into thrust, but depending on the spacing, sometimes you can't get the thrust off of 4S, even on counter hit. So like you can't get the thrust won't combo off the 4S on counter hit at certain ranges. It's really weird. I don't know why it does this. Faust's conversion rate sucks, but if the spacing's good, you still can get all of the, I don't know if they're optimal punishes, but the really big reward punishes, like I'm showing right now. I think I'll show a little bit later on in the video that you can't always combo into thrust even on counter hit from these situations, and you're much better off going for mixed loops, but even that isn't reliable because, you know, Faust, just that, Faust, he's unreliable. But you still can get reward, it's just a lot harder to get good reward hitting the back Fukyo than it is the forward Fukyo. This is completely done on a read, you can't do this on reaction, it's way too slow. You cannot punish with thrust on reaction. Right, this is it, yeah. Long back Fukyo, FRS, nope. Sucks. Your best damaging special and you can't get it. So you have to go for mixed loops. Thankfully mixed loops do work, and this leads into the same thrust setup that I found in the previous video. But even this sometimes doesn't work because Faust. Yay! Is this the blue RC one? Yeah, so this is the blue RC route that catches pre-jump with thrust. Yep, very good. The only option he has to beat that is 6P and invulnerable super, and if you do a delayed thrust, that beats both of those options, so it's a good way to hedge your bets against his defensive options. This is some other setup that I've been working with. K-Crow PRC after the 2H meaty to get strike throw mix. I don't know how good it is, again I haven't tested it, I'm still currently trying to learn the hitbox. Combos are easy on it, but the movement sucks. Well, it doesn't suck, but it's really difficult to do. So you can test this for yourself, but I've seen some pro players using this. I can't remember who specifically I saw doing this. I think it was Nago. So it seems pretty decent. Yeah, get a close S meaty from the PLC. He did a 6P there, by the way, on Wake Up. I think it would be 5P as well, but there's no reason for him to do 5P on Wake Up at that range, since 5P will just instantly lose to thrust. Right, this is the K-Crow PRC stuff that you can do to beat Fukyo on a read. Don't do this on reaction, you will get deleted 100%. But it's decent if you're willing to risk it. What I found covering the back Fukyo is that it's really difficult to hedge your bets against it unless you are able to do the far S. It basically comes down to you have to make a read. If you guess right, you delete your opponent, if you're lucky. If you guess wrong, he deletes you, guaranteed, because it's Nagoriyuki. The PRC route there, because you get the Close S punish, you're able to combo into thrust for free. You don't need to spend any more bar. And you can burst bait from it. So although you've lost the burst baits from the first video, the 5k and Close S burst baits, you can get PRC Gearcrow burst baits. So after labbing all this stuff and thinking about it for a bit, I think the best option by far is the Faust, since it's the only option that beats all the others. Every other option is unreliable, even though they work against the Close S. They're just too unpredictable, too easy to beat against the back Fukyo, which they should be, admittedly, because Nagoriyuki's back Fukyo is his option to counter your mashing. So what I would suggest is watch his blood rage, not his blood rage, his blood gauge, see where it is. If it's high, it's likely he's going to go for a forward Fukyo. At that point, do Close S, since I think that's the best option. If he's low on blood gauge, he's probably going to go back and reset his pressure. At that point, it's better to either do Faust if you're quick enough to react, or do nothing, just crouch block. You can jump, but again, if he reads the jump and does something like 2H, it will not be very good for you at all, since that essentially resets his pressure. So keep a very, very close watch of his blood gauge, since that is going to inform you what option he is most likely to do, and then pick your option from that. This video might not be all that informative, but I've labbed this back Fukyo stuff for a while now, and there isn't really any solid, just really good options from it. It's a very difficult thing to beat. He has big buttons, some of them are disjointed, some of them are faster than yours. You have to take a guess, and at one point you're going to guess wrong and he's going to delete you. I was hesitant about putting this video out because there's not much in it, honestly, that I could show, but that's my list. If you can do the Faust, use the Faust. This will also cover the forward Fukyo, because you'll get Close S. If you can't do the Faust, crawl. Preferably crawl if you think he's going to do the back Fukyo. If you think he's going to do the forward Fukyo, do the Close S. But with that being said, that's all I have to say in this video. I haven't found anything else to mention, so I will leave it there for now. Since I haven't found too many options to beat back Fukyo yet, I will continue to lab it to see if I can find anything else. If I do, I will do an updated video at some point if I do discover anything. Probably won't be for a while though, because Testament is due out in a couple days, and I am really looking forward to playing that character. So I will put this on the back burner for a while and give the new character a go when they drop. I hope this video was informative and you learned something from it. If you have any of your own options to cover the back Fukyo, leave it in the comments to try and help some people out. I hope this video helped you out. Thanks for watching.